Tobago. Due to family obligations, I cannot be with you in person today, but I will speak to you via this PowerPoint presentation and the internet. I started to play pan in the early 1980s when I was a uni student in Bern, Switzerland. I joined the oldest steel band in Switzerland, the Bernese Oil Company, founded in 1976. I played with them and other steel bands for the next 18 years, until I migrated to Australia in 1999. In Australia, I played as a solo pan player with different jazz and folk bands. In February 2009, the rural region of Victoria was hit by a huge bushfire in which the township of Marysville with its 500 houses was totally destroyed. We live on a farm further away from the town and narrowly escaped the fires. A few months after the disaster, I started a music therapy program for bushfire-affected communities, offering steel band workshops. My paper today talks about this music therapy project using the pan. My presentation has 4 parts. First, I give you a brief history of our project. Second, I would like to explain some of the trauma symptoms that we are trying to address. Then I will briefly explain why we choose to work with the steel pan as instrument for music therapy. And finally, I will describe the different healing processes that happen within our steel bands. Let's begin with the project history. The project started in November 2009, a few months after the fires, with grant money from the Australian government. Pan maker and tuner Werner Ecker came from Switzerland to build pans for us. Some friends in Switzerland donated a few pans for our project, and we also received help from Trinidadian pan maker and tuner Lennox Jordan, who lives in Northern Australia. At Christmas 2009, we started with kids and adult workshops. This first Christmas after the fires was a very difficult time for many people, as they were still mourning the loss of their loved ones and had to live in small temporary cottages. After the initial workshops, the first steel band, Pans on Fire, started with regular rehearsals in January 2010. Already 3 months later, they were able to play their first public performance. More and more people became interested, and in January 2011 we started a mums and kids steel band and a second adult steel band. Then we received further funding and were able to start a steel band program in the local primary school, involving 30 kids in 2 age groups. First it was an after-school music program, and now it is part of their main curriculum. So to date, we have over 60 people playing the pan at home and in weekly steel band rehearsals. Our players have performed at over 130 concerts, including large regional and Melbourne-based music festivals and some televised events. For example, the annual Carnival Parade Moomba in Melbourne. In November 2011, we were able to record our first CD. It is called Recovery and symbolizes our journey of bushfire recovery. The title song Recovery was composed for us by Lennox Jordan, who visited us after the fires. Another important milestone for Marysville was the first Australian Steel Band Festival in 2013, with 9 steel bands competing, including one from New Zealand and even one from Oman. The combination of steel pan and oriental music was very special, and the Royal Guard of Oman Steel Band put on an amazing performance. In 2014, Pans on Fire was able to do a concert tour in southwestern France, with 8 concerts at different locations in and around the city of Toulouse. Now we are currently working on another CD that will be a collaborative project involving all our kids and adult steel bands. I now come to part 2. To appreciate the healing power of a steel band, it is useful to understand the nature of the trauma. Victims of a natural disaster like the bushfires experience trauma at different levels. Firstly, there are physiological symptoms. Victims are in shock and horror over the death threat. There is a typical fight or flight reaction. Many people had to engage in very fierce firefighting. Others had stressful evacuation situations, and some people even had to go through a near-death experience during the fires. The adrenaline release due to the stress leads to an arousal of the sympathetic nervous system, resulting in restlessness in the days, weeks, and months after the fires. Staying in an adrenaline mode over an extended period has related health risks, such as repeated headaches, skin problems, digestive difficulties, tension, sleeplessness, muscular aches and pains. There's also a persisting restlessness and irritability. After the fires, people often react with a fight or flight response, even in non-threatening everyday situations. In addition to physiological problems, there are cognitive symptoms. A big problem is the incapacity to concentrate. For example, many fire victims reported not being able to read even one page and stay with the text. There's also loss of short-term memory related to post-traumatic stress disorder. We called it the fire brain. Victims are forgetful and not able to remember simple things, and people find it difficult to make complex decisions when they are emotionally drained. Finally, there are emotional symptoms of the trauma. Bushfire victims experienced a deep sadness about the loss of loved ones and the loss of the trusted environment of our village and our landscapes. After the fires, there was a general lack of orientation. People experienced the fundamental loss of personal identity. They asked themselves, how am I defined now that I have lost my home, my business, my workplace? A common problem is also the anxiety. A fundamental fear is creeping in. Will we ever manage to get back to a new normal? And what happens next summer when the heat is up again? All these bushfire trauma symptoms may persist in the medium to long term for months and sometimes even years. So why use community arts or music then? In this situation, community arts and community music projects offer a platform where these trauma-related problems are addressed in a neutral space that is outside the material and organizational problems of the actual rebuilding process. You may then ask, but why would one use the Steelpan for bushfire-affected communities in a remote place of Australia? We think there are several good reasons for this. The Steelpan is one of those things that take 30 minutes to learn and 30 years to perfect. It's an instrument that is relatively easy to learn. We are able to teach a group of total beginners an easy reggae tune with 3 chords and a little melody in half an hour. And it is suitable for groups of all sizes and for individual playing as well. The pan is also suitable for all age groups. Our members range from 5 years to over 80 years. And we can play all musical styles, including classical music, jazz or folk, and of course calypso and reggae. So for us, it is the most versatile instrument. Let's talk about the healing power of the pan now. To explain how the steel pan helps our healing process, I keep working with the three areas: physiological healing, cognitive healing, and emotional healing, although these are somewhat artificial and there is of course overlap between them. Our results are based on written surveys with our members and observations made during rehearsals. With regards to physiological healing, our members express a sense of feeling alive, and playing the pan recharges our batteries. The repetitive play of rhythms and musical sequences is like a meditation and very relaxing. Adrenaline-related stress stops during time of play. It is a valve to release stress in a positive and healthy way without using drugs or medication. Following the advice of Katrina McFerrin, a music therapist who worked with traumatized youth after the fires, it is important that the facilitator avoids stressful learning situations in order not to re-traumatize the players. The facilitator needs to be comfortable with waiting, following the lead of the group with patience rather than following a strict work plan. Playing the pan has also positive cognitive impacts. Playing in a steel pan, people concentrate. We found that this strengthens their attention span. People learn again to pay attention while they are learning and understanding an orchestral piece with different voices and rhythms. Playing pan increases the capacity to focus, either alone when rehearsing at home or in our group rehearsals. After the fires, our children were first only able to concentrate for 10 minutes at the most. Now they are able to follow 45 minutes to 1 hour rehearsals. The same holds for adult players. First 20 minutes, then 30 minutes. Now they can handle 2 hours or more. Playing in a steel band is also strengthening the memory by memorizing songs and rhythm patterns. In playing in a steel band, we are dealing with complexity. We are breaking a musical piece apart and learning the different sections bit by bit and then putting it together to a whole song again. We found that this helps to do the same in daily life. We learn to deal with complexity and with creating structures. Playing pan improves coordination and flexibility. Because we move our arms and bodies hitting the notes, we work with visual information, reading sheet music, and we train our auditory capacities, listening to our own play in relation to the rest of the band. Our findings are in line with recent neuroscientific research. It has shown that making music is an intensive brain workout, increasing the formation of new neural pathways and the simultaneous involvement of the right and the left brain hemispheres. With regards to emotional healing pathways, making music we forget about our everyday troubles, and we experience a feeling of joy, fulfillment and happiness. Our life in the steel band creates a new purpose. We work towards uplifting goals, for example learning a new repertoire, learning how to play for different audiences, or learning how to deliver hands-on workshops. An important point is the regularity of our group rehearsals and also individual rehearsals. For example, soon after the start, our players wanted to take home their instrument and rehearse every day. They became very attached to their pan and to playing it at a daily basis. This created a positive aspect in their new life after the fires, in their new normal. The steel band also gives us a new sense of achievement. We played in public 3 months after the start of our first band, and now we have clocked up well over 100 gigs. There's a new self-image as a muso. Family, friends and community members recognize you as one of the steel band players. Our players are feeling empowered. They realize, oh, I'm able to learn a new skill and I'm achieving to being a good pan player. That empowerment then reaches into other areas and they feel that they can master other challenges as well. The healing process also works at community level. We check on each other's well-being during weekly rehearsals and develop coping strategies together. The steel bands become an important place for bonding as they offer a supportive network. Playing pan and organizing band life, we learn teamwork and new organizing skills. For example, organizing the logistics of our gigs, the recording of the CD, or organizing the Australian Steel Band Festival. The Steel Band Festival also involved a lot of other community groups, like sport groups or the tourism association in our town. It helped to create a strong network in the whole township. Going on record with our festival on social media that are seen in countries around the world, like the website When Steel Talks or the Pan Jambi website, brought a huge sense of achievement to our members. To us, our performances, the CD and the Steel Band Festival all symbolize the positive recovery process after the fires and community resilience in our town. All in all, we are convinced that our community steel band project was, and still is, an effective way to achieve positive and constructive outcomes in the 3 areas of physiological, cognitive, and emotional healing, both for the individual person as well as for the community as a whole. I thank you very much for your attention.